Most B2B founders think they've hit a wall after creating 10 ad creatives. They launch their campaigns, get some initial traction, then 30 days later, performance tanks. And then they're left staring at a blank screen wondering, what do I say next? Whereas I've been running the same creative system for over 5 years and I have never run out of ideas once. And today I'm walking you through the exact framework that I use to create unlimited high converting meta ads for a B2B company. By the end of this video, you'll have a system that produces 100 plus unique ad creatives, and you'll never struggle with what to say next ever again. So let's get into it. All right, step one is gonna be mapping out your avatars. The big focus here is we wanna dial in on the psychographics and not the demographics. So what 99% of marketers do when creating their campaigns is they map out their prospects like this. So 35 to 55 years old, tech executives, 50 to 200 employees, 5 to 50 million in revenue, decision makers, and B2B SaaS buyers. This is completely useless for writing ads because nobody wakes up in the morning thinking, I'm a 45-year-old executive. Instead, we need to focus on the psychographic avatars. We need to speak to specific situations, real moments, in the exact situation that people are going through in their day-to-day. So let's put you in the shoes of somebody selling a CRM solution, something a little bit complex. So the way we want to map out those avatars. So avatar 1 is we've got the spreadsheet founder. Avatar 2, we've got the burned CTO. Avatar 3, we've got the scaling VP. And avatar 4, we've got the new sales leader. So looking at avatar 1, the spreadsheet founder. So we want to speak specifically to founders. Some of their situations, their problems are going to be tracking deals in Google spreadsheets, lost a $50K deal to missed follow-up. They're spending 10 hours per week on pipeline admin. They just hired 2 new reps and they can't train them properly. Now, the burned CTO, they might have recently tried 3 other CRMs and the team won't use any of them. Their sales and marketing is disconnected. They can't forecast for the board, and then they're considering building in-house. So those are true problems that a CTO might be going through. The scaling VP, they've expanded their team from 5 to 15 reps in the last 6 months. Deal velocity is slowing despite more people coming on board. There's no visibility in the stalled deals, and then the leadership is demanding metrics. Avatar 4 is the new sales leader. So let's say they started 60 days ago. They inherited a manual process. So they need quick wins to prove their value. They've got their budget approved, but now they just need to generate results. When you map it out like this, do you see the difference than what we initially spoke about with the demographics? So the spreadsheet founder, they care about time and a lost deal. The burn CTO cares about adoption and integration. The scaling VP cares about team performance. The new sales leader cares about quick wins and proving ROI. And here's the thing, when you write an ad to the spreadsheet founder, they'll read it, they'll watch the video, and they'll think, holy crap, this is exactly me. That's the power of having psychographic avatars as opposed to just focusing on the demographics. So your job now, and I mean to literally pause this video and do this for yourself, is I want you to map out 5 to 10 avatars for your solution. I want you to think about what just happened that made them realize they need a solution, what keeps them up at night, what's their current broken process that your solution is going to help them solve, then what timeline pressure are they under. This will take you about 45 minutes to an hour, but it is the foundation for everything that comes next. And once you have these avatars, here's what to actually do with them. Now we're going to go deep on one avatar. And I'm going to keep our spreadsheet founder as our core example. And we're going to break that down into 4 categories and extract bullet points from each of them. And this is going to be where our ad concepts come from. So quick reminder, the spreadsheet founder, they're tracking deals in Google Sheets and they just lost a 50K deal. They're spending 10 hours per week on pipeline admin and they just brought on 2 new reps. So I've broken it down into 4 sections. That's going to be current pains, desired outcomes, the objections, and the current circumstances. So let's first look at the current pains. What's actually hurting the spreadsheet founder right now? So they're missing follow-ups. They've lost a 50K deal last month, can't find old emails and notes, 10 hours per week on admin. They've got no idea what's actually in the pipeline. Reps using different systems, yada, yada. You get it. I'm not going to go through each of these, but let's say recently one of the rep quit and took all of their relationship data with them. So those are some key pain points. Now the desired outcome. So what do they actually want instead? They want to start closing 30% more deals. They want to see their pipeline at a glance. Start automating follow-ups, get new reps productive, forecast, get those 10 hours per week back, stop missing opportunities, make data-driven sales decisions, and scale without chaos. Now in the bottom left quadrant, we've got objections. So what's actually stopping them from buying? So in quotes, my team won't adopt another tool. They've tried CRMs before, they're too complex. They can't afford enterprise pricing, they're too small for this. Migration will take forever. What if we outgrow it? Data security concerns, etc., etc. Now, quadrant 4 is going to be current circumstances. So what's actually happening in their business right now? What does their day-to-day look like? So the Q4 push is coming up. They've just hired the 2 new reps. They've got a board meeting in 3 weeks and they need metrics to back themselves up. They lost their biggest client last quarter. They're thinking about a new sales ops hire. They're switching from manual to automated. A competitor just raised funding, and their revenue's been flat for the last 6 months. And just take a quick look at what we just created. That's one avatar that created 30 unique bullet points. And 30 plus unique bullet points, that's equivalent to 30 plus potential ads. Let's take a look at some of the key bullets there. So, lost a 50K deal last month. That's an ad. New reps productive in 48 hours. That's an ad. My team won't adopt another tool. That's an ad. Board meeting in 3 weeks. That's an ad. Now, we create 10 of these avatars times 30 bullets. That's 300 unique concepts. Depending on what your service or solution is, you might not have a spreadsheet founder to do this for, but I'm sure you've got some sort of prospect with a challenge, and that's why you've got this solution to begin with. Here's what I need you to understand. This one exercise, creating avatars and extracting bullets, it's going to give you 6 to 12 months of ad creatives, and you're never going to have to wonder, what do I say next ever again? So do the work once, and you're going to benefit from it for months. However, once we've got our avatar and bullet points mapped out, before we can turn these into ads, we need to focus on refining your offer for cold traffic, and this is where most people screw up. And this mistake kills most B2B meta campaigns, because your offer is not optimized for cold traffic. If you give a low intent offer such as start your 14-day free trial, book a demo, see pricing, and this is a mistake I see kill most B2B meta campaigns, and that's offering a low intent solution to low intent buyers. So for cold traffic, we don't want to offer start your 14-day free trial. We don't want to offer book a demo. We don't want to offer see pricing. And that's because cold traffic doesn't know you. They're scrolling Facebook, they're scrolling Instagram at 9 o'clock at night. They see your ad, they're not ready to make a buying decision, and if they do sign up, they're not going to be ready to activate. And if that happens, it's going to ruin the economics of your campaign and just make scaling nearly impossible. So what we really want to be doing is optimizing for cold traffic, and to do so, we need to sell the destination and not the flight. Hospitality and travel hasn't become a multi-billion-dollar industry because airlines are offering you a comfy seat on this plane. They're selling you the vacation. They're selling you the destination. And you need to take that same line of thinking into your business. Nobody cares what you do. They only care about the result that they get. So for example, I offer meta ads management. People don't care about meta ads management. What they care about is more qualified demos and increased revenue. If you have a CRM solution, they don't care about the CRM. They care about the time savings, which leads to the increased profitability. You have an AI data platform. They care about better decision making because you're giving them better metrics. You have a sales enablement SaaS. They care about the higher close rates that you can help them get, not actually what your platform is. And you might think, Oliver, this is all obvious stuff people will get from using our platform. They're not in the same bubble that we are. They don't think about it that way. There's a reason signs like this exist. And that's because people are not good at using context clues, using common sense, and reading between the lines. We need to lay it out for them and put it as simple as can be. And we can even take this a layer deeper. So if you want to take a quick screenshot, now's the time to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to keep zooming in. So for me, meta ads management. So what it really is, I offer campaign setup, creative production, audience retargeting, A/B testing, monthly reporting. So what they get and what prospects actually care about. They'll have 90 shown appointments in 90 days, 500K new pipeline within Q1, 3x ROI on ad spend guaranteed. Their sales calendar will be booked out for 6 weeks, and then a 15 to 20% demo to close rate on cold traffic. That's what they care about. I don't pitch this stuff. I'm not going to say I'll set up your campaign and I'll do your A/B testing. Doesn't care. I'll get shrugged off. Anything I say will go in one ear, out the other. Whereas if I start saying things like this, once again, selling the destination, selling the vacation, that's what's going to get them interested. Now, look at the CRM solution. What it really is, it's contact management, it's pipeline tracking, it's automated workflows. It's a bunch of boring stuff. Once again, look at the vacation. So what do the prospects get? They win back 15 hours per week per rep. They can close 30% more deals with the same team, reduce their sales cycle, save money annually as opposed to hiring, no missed follow-ups, and new reps are productive in 48 hours. Once again, break this down to other solutions. So with the AI data platform, what it actually is, it's data aggregation, it's predictive analytics, dashboards, API integrations. Boring. What they get, they can improve their forecast accuracy to 94%. They can reduce churn because they can make better decisions around their current clients. They can cut decision making from 5 days to 4 hours. They can add 1.2 million in retained revenue per year. That's something I would buy. I would not buy something just because it can integrate APIs. I would not buy predictive analytics unless I know what it led to. And a lot of people, it might sound easy. A lot of people are not doing that in their advertising. Same with the sales enablement SaaS. It's a content library, it's a playbook management, it's training modules. Nobody cares. What they get, they can increase their close rate, they can lift average deal sizes, they can add revenue per rep per year, they can reduce turnover from 32% to 11%. Those are metrics people will spend money on. However, all the time I see SaaS and tech companies who I typically work with, when they're running meta ads before we start working together, they'll have 3 key features about their product, they'll slap their logo on it, and that's what they post. That is what they spend money on, and it never works. And this all just comes down to how you position your offer. Like I said, we want to optimize it for cold traffic. You're not offering the standard book a demo, see pricing. You're not dropping your features here. You're selling the destination and not the flight. What do prospects and new leads get from using your platform? Why should they show up to the demo? Why should they buy the solution? And that's the pattern you should focus on as you craft these out. So you want to be specific, measurable, and time bound. So what specific result? That could be 30 demos for me, 15 hours saved, 94% accuracy. How much improvement? 30% more, 3 times ROI, 500K pipelines. By when? 90 days per month in Q1 within 6 weeks. The formula here is you want a metric, you want the magnitude, and then you want the time frame. And that's what leads to a compelling outcome. That's what's going to lead the people to click, show up, and buy. And now that we've got our avatars mapped out, we've got their pain points mapped out, and we've found a way to speak to the solution they're actually interested in buying in, now we can start to look at the ad creatives. And recently, Meta has launched the Andromeda update. And so what they really focus on now is creative diversity. And while we create separate campaigns for video and static ads, we need to really dive into what our messaging looks like. So we create 40 to 50 different statics per campaign, as well as 5 to 20 different video ads. And each one has a different message and often a different creative, but they can revolve around the same concept. So these are some video ads that we've ran. You might even have seen one of these. So it's me holding whiteboards, flipping through them. It's me flipping through note cards, once again calling out B2B SaaS founders above 40K per month. And then I actually drew it on a dry erase board as well. So essentially the same concept, but different angles, different lighting, different setup. You used to be able to just create creatives with a different headline, but the same copy. Now you need entirely different creatives for Meta to be able to pick it up and kind of decide what they want to push. And that's because there's so many different creatives being put into Meta's system. This was the only way they could really optimize on what prospects wanted to see, what was resonating with the audience, which is actually better for your campaigns. Our results, as well as the results we produce for our clients, have significantly increased post-update. But since it is fresh, I still constantly see people running one ad creative at a time, which is going to skyrocket your cost per lead if Meta doesn't like the creative you have, which over time is going to make you more hesitant to scale if you don't know that you need 40 to 50 different creatives. At the end of the game, it's all about the knowledge you have, which is why I'm glad you're watching this video. If you're still here, be sure to hit like and subscribe. So that's kind of the video ads. We've got different creatives, but same concepts. Down here, once again, we've got a bunch of different creatives. This is just a screenshot from our Google Drive library. So how you kind of can go about doing this is if you just want to go to ChatGPT, go to Claude, you want to plug in this prompt. So make a 1080 by 1080 ad creative using insert your offer, make it niche, insert your niche or ICP themed, and have a button in the ad that says learn more, be creative and unique. And you can see how each one of these is significantly different than the next. Of course, we've got a series here where I got a bunch of different characters. So we've got a cowboy, an alien, a wizard, a knight, and I think a Vikings over here as well. And the reason I did that was because I launched this one at first and it did really well. So I took that, created a bunch of different creatives. I didn't take the same wizard. I took a different characters and then created more ads around that. But one thing I do want you to take note of is how each of these has a different vacation that we're selling. Like I said, I do meta ads management. People don't care about that. I do not mention that in a single one of these ads. So here, B2B SaaS founders, we'll add 1 to 3 points to your exit multiple or you don't pay. B2B SaaS founders, are you losing 1 in 5 clients every month? We help with the retention on the back end as well. B2B SaaS leaders, ready to add $1 million in new revenue, we'll help you get there or you don't pay. Each of these, different message, different creative, but I'm still selling the vacation. I'm not just feature dumping. I'm not pitching my solution. I'm showing them the vacation they can buy. If you go through any one of these, it's going to be the same exact case. So bunch of different creatives, bunch of different messaging. Let Meta do the work. Let their AI algorithm figure out what resonates with specific prospects. A little fun fact, Meta has 52,000 data points on each of its user. I personally can't tell you 52,000 things about myself, and I'd assume that's about the same for every other single person out there. Meta knows it. They know what people's tendencies are. They know what they like. They know what they don't like. Give Meta as much content to work with, and then just take your hands off and let them cook. However, while you're letting Meta cook, there is some things you need to do on your end, and that's what I call design for the 2-second scroll test. So I'll go back to our ads in a minute just to show you that this is the truth. So you have a headline. You want this to be 40 to 50% of your canvas, typically 5 to 8 words max. Then you want some supporting text. So this is where you drop in your value and your offer. You want some sort of urgency or risk reversal. So depending on what your offer is, it could be ending soon or XYZ guaranteed. I typically do a risk reversal. Then you want your call to action. So that could be learn more, click below, whatever. So to show you this is the truth, this is how I look at some of my ads. We can look at the same one. So we've got our call out, we've got the supporting text, and then we've got the risk reversals. So one might not have a call to action, but what you kind of want to look at is here we've got headline, takes up a big chunk of the canvas. We've got the supporting text, the actual offer. We've got some bit of urgency, kind of a risk reversal, don't like it, don't pay, call to action. Same thing over here. Headline, risk reversal, no monthly retainers, call to action. Same thing. Headline, value prop, bit of an urgency, kind of a funny joke. It works so well, it feels like magic. Obviously a wizard. Then call to action. You can look at a different one. Headline, value prop, risk reversal. This one was about time saving. So it was headline, funny value prop link to the meme, and then there was a call to action underneath. Here we go. Headline, add $1 million in new revenue guaranteed. So it kind of does everything in that first line. Then the call out is underneath. Then the call to action is here. Then we've obviously got a graphic taking up most of the image. So no, not everything needs to be in that order, but you do want each element to be there. I think this is the best formula we found across our account as well as our client's account in multiple different industries. You need headline, supporting text, urgency, risk reversal, and then call to action. Now we've got our creatives built. Here's how to turn that into a repeatable ad system that never runs dry. The math here is simple. We've got 10 avatars. We've got 10 bullet points on each avatar. That should lead to 100 unique creatives. If we want to ship 2 to 3 of these creatives per week, we will never run out. And here's your weekly workflow to make sure that happens. So we'll start top of the week, Monday. We launch a new batch of creatives. We have different avatars for different bullet types. Like we said, we've laid our foundation with all of that early work we've done. Typically, when launching a new campaign, you want to set your budget at around $50 to $100 per day. And once you get all of that, you want to start adding things into a tracking sheet. And the big metrics you want to be taking into account on this sheet is one, of course, what you're spending per day, then how many leads are coming in. So that's going to calculate your cost per lead. We want to look at booked calls after that. Then you kind of go further down the funnel, so cost per acquisition. But we can talk about that a little bit later. So on Monday, we launch. Those are the things we kind of want to have in place. Wednesday, we want to review a 48-hour performance. We want to kind of see what's working, what's not working, and then we want to pause the losers and scale the winners. And a big thing here is we want to document those learnings. So I just have a simple Google Doc. I kind of write down exactly what I did. You can turn this into an SOP if you want to hand it off to somebody, or you simply might want to reference back to it. Of course, if we're testing 40 to 50 different creatives, you're not going to be able to remember why you paused and scaled each one. It's always good to just jot down a few notes in case you ever want to come back to it and make a decision in the future. Then on Friday, this is where we really focus on scaling and planning. So if we see some definite winners, we'll increase the budget on those. We can start to analyze patterns. Let's say on Wednesday, we weren't sure what to pause, what to scale. By Friday, that becomes a little bit more clear. So we can analyze those patterns. We can update some avatar notes. Then we can start to plan next week's creative tests. And at the end of that week, you repeat for the next week. And as you're going through this process, some patterns you might want to start looking at is, let's say pain points are outperforming outcomes. And what do I mean by that? Let's come back to our spreadsheet founder example. So a pain point could be he was wasting 10 hours per week on admin work. So the way we position that ad could be stop wasting 10 hours per week, whereas the outcome could be get 10 hours per week back. It's a very subtle adjustment, but it can turn into a pattern over a long enough period of time. As we laid out 4 different avatars at the beginning, and I've even asked you to do 10, that avatar might have the highest click-through rate. That's valuable to know. Another pattern that's going to be valuable to identify is what sort of creatives are doing the best. So if screenshotting results gets a ton of clicks, gets a ton of engagement, as opposed to illustrated graphics, run more screenshot visuals. Ads can be complex, but only if you make it complex. Don't make it rocket science. If you see something's doing well, just do more of it. If you see something's doing poorly, do less of it. And those are things you look for on a weekly basis. So of course, you spread that out over a long enough period of time, you start to notice things pretty regularly. So on a monthly rotation, week 1 to 2, we could have avatar group A. This could be our founders and leaders. We want to test a bunch of different creatives. Here, we might want to focus on pain points and circumstances and then start to learn which message resonates. Down below, weeks 3 to 4, we might test avatar group B. This could be targeting technical and ops. So test more creatives, focus on objections and outcomes, and we cross-reference these results with the group A learnings. And once you've got a bit of a runway behind you on each of those, going into month 2, we look at the winning combos. So we double down on the best performing avatars, we test new bullet types for the winners, and then we just retire the underperforming avatar groups. So up here, let's say the founders were doing really well, the ops teams not so well. Let's focus more on the founders and less of the ops. Once again, a big thing is you just want to scale the winners and pause the losers, which once you start consistently doing that, it just turns into a never-ending cycle. So Monday, we're launching. So 2 to 3 new creatives from our bank of 100 plus creatives. We're doing a check on Wednesday, kill the losers, flag the winners. We're scaling on Friday. We're increasing budget and planning next tests. Then we want to repeat that weekly with new creatives. We've got 100 plus in our bank. You're not going to run out. Don't be scared to test more. We'll be creating more over time based on what we see winning. And it just turns into a continuous flywheel of growth and optimization. So I'd say at a minimum, be ready to run this system for at least 4 to 8 weeks, because that's when you'll start seeing patterns. So you'll know which avatars respond best, which bullet types perform. So do we want pain versus outcome versus objection? Which one of those gets the best response? Which visual styles get the most clicks, and which offers convert? Then onwards, we want to optimize towards winners while continuing to test new creative angles. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I can't emphasize it enough. If I could summarize this in one sentence, it's going to be scale the winners, pause the losers. All right, let me bring this all home and give you a quick recap of the entire system. So step 1, map your avatars. Remember, focus on psychographics and not the demographics. We want real scenarios and specific situations. The more dialed in you can be here, the better. For each avatar you make, on step 2, extract 10 to 20 bullet points. So you want their current pain, their desired outcomes, their objections, and their current circumstances. Then step 3, refine your offer for cold traffic. Don't offer low intent solutions to low intent buyers. Don't sell your product, sell the destination. Then going into step 4, now that we've got our bullet points mapped out and we've got our offer crafted, turn each of those bullet points into ads. So 1 bullet equals 1 creative equals 1 message. And these ads need to be optimized for the 2-second scroll. So headline, 40 to 50% of your canvas, 1 supporting line, and have a stark visual around the messaging. And now that our ads are ready to go and they're up and live, we want to build our creative calendar. So we launch, check, kill, scale, repeat. Simple as that. And if you're able to stay on top of that each week, the outcome's going to be 100 plus unique ad concepts in your bank. You have new creatives launching every week. You'll have constant optimization based on data, and you'll never struggle with what to say again, which is going to lead to lower costs, better performance, and a scalable client acquisition system. Most B2B founders create ad creation like a one-time project. They create their ads, they launch them, leave it, and then wonder why performance dies 30 days later. Then they're stuck, whereas you now have a system with a repeatable process that creates new angles week after week. And here's what separates winners from everyone else. Most people will watch this video and just nod along and then do nothing. Winners are going to block out 2 hours this week to map avatars and extract bullet points. So here's your options now. Option 1, you can close this video, you can get distracted, you can never implement it, but you're going to have the same ad struggles in 90 days and nothing is going to change. Option 2, you can block a few hours this week, map out your avatars and extract your bullets, Then you'll have 6 to 12 months of creatives ready to go. Or option 3, you can have this system completely done for you with guaranteed results. If you like the sound of that, you can book a call with me personally using the first link in the description, and I'll walk you through what this process can look like step by step for your business. Either way, you have the blueprint now. You know how to create unlimited ad concepts, how to design the creatives around it, and then how to also roll it out to create results for your business. The system works. I've been running it for over 5 years. Our clients are using it. It produces results. Now it's your turn. And if you have found this video helpful, please do me a favor, hit like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.